Welcome to week 14 of Turn Up, Beardown. And we are back with our favorite, Matt Jansen. How we doing?
Not good. Not good. We've lost six straight, and I feel like I'm speaking for the town of Chicago when it's time to blow it up. Send Nagy and Trubisky on the first train to Russia. Throw Pace back to Atlanta or wherever he came from. Phillips needs to retire into the sunset, and we need to just kind of figure this thing out because I think a lot of people are just tired of the brand of football that has been on display at least the last couple of years, just last 2 years, and we just think that this team's underperforming. And
Definitely.
It's been a tough. It's really I don't think I've ever experienced quite the start and then quite the last 6 weeks of the contrast of 5-1 and then losing last six. So even though I'm a Cubs fan, so. It's been tough. It's been tough, man. But you know what? We're still grinding it out. We're here.
We are.
We're being loyal to our fans. Obviously, the Chicago Bears franchise. We are grinding it out, and just continuing to put meat in the seats and just give Bears fans what they want. Good, some quality content.
That's for sure. Because there's a lack of that as a lot of people are turning away at this time. Yeah, I don't know though. I have to admit, last week after that loss, I told my wife, I said, I think I'm done. I don't think I can watch next week. What do you want to do next week instead? It's just like, I'll give my dad credit for this quote. It's like sticking your head in a blender week in, week out.
That's a good one.
And expecting a different result. Another one is it's like going to the dentist. So it is hard work being a Bears fan, and what can we say? Even the years where we went to the Super Bowl, at least in my lifetime, we had Rex Grossman as our quarterback. Or 2 years ago when it looked like we had maybe a legit chance to win the NFC and the double doink happens. I know I shouldn't have brought that up, but we're kind of at a low right now. And I actually saw something and it said that basically everything that's happened to the Bears organization in the last, since that fateful day in January of 2019 has been a reflection of that. And I'm not sure that that's wrong. So, but
hey, I'm glad that you came back. I'm glad you kind of pushed the reset button because I thought we'd have to maybe get maybe Dan Lebitard or somebody on here to run the show.
For sure.
Get the cut going. No one does what you do. You're obviously, you're the true professional. So I'm glad you kind of, because I could probably pull up the message from after the game, and you were not in a good place, Scott.
It was bad.
And you're always in a good place. So I'm glad you kind of rebounded. I am. Sure. You got a couple dubs on the basketball court this week down there, and lifted this. I don't know. Did you? How'd you guys do this week?
We got destroyed by Smithville, and that's really all I have to say. The other game got canceled. So.
Oh my bad, man. I didn't mean to set you up on that one, but
nah, you're good. Let's move on. Yeah, let's move on to some. Let's move on to some good trivia. It was a disappointing loss, but I still feel better about that than the Bears loss. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, harder.
Oh, did I double click? No, I didn't. Our matchup this week is, of course, the Texans at Bears. This has been a matchup in the making because we know we are facing our boy Deshaun Watson. So before we get into our matchup, we got a little bit of trivia. Here's my question for you. Maybe you have the same one for me, but I knew this off the top of my head. I looked it up just to verify, but I was sure of it because I would know. The Texans have not been around that long.
Yep, I already know where we're going.
Yeah. Do you know who the only team the Chicago Bears have not beaten in the NFL is?
Yeah, well, since we're 0-4 against the Texans, it would be the Houston Texans.
That is correct. I actually remember a lot of these games back in the day when Derek Carr was running for his life and setting single-season sack records. He found a way to beat us. I think I saw the year was like 0-4, and we've played them every 4 years. Then 2008 was one of my favorite years, actually, as a Bears fan. That was when Kyle Orton was in complete control of the Bears. That year was dubbed the year of the neck beard. I'm not sure if you knew that, but it was pretty awesome.
Control like the stock market and pretty much everything on God's green earth at that point. But
I watched a video on him, and it was an interview like when he was our starting quarterback that year, and he said his favorite car is a Prius, and that he would take the train to the stadium on game day because
the L is an experience. You're on the L. The L is like the complete it's like the world, like the Super Bowl for people watching. It is awesome. It is awesome.
That's true. But I'm just thinking, this is Kyle Warren, the Bears quarterback, and they're like, "What's your favorite vacation spot?" And he said his favorite vacation spot was Iowa. And I'm just thinking, this dude is something special. But dare I say it, up there with maybe Jay Cutler or Trubisky, he's probably the best quarterback the Bears have ever had in my lifetime. So I said it.
Yeah.
But back to the Texans.
I just remember Arian Foster and Andre Johnson just absolutely manhandling us, especially Arian.
Yeah, and back in the 2008 game, we played them last game of the year, final 31-24. Andre Johnson had a great game, and we didn't make the playoffs that year. If we would have won that game, we would have made the playoffs. But Kyle Orton, even though he had a decent game, I was looking it up, he threw like 250 and 2 touchdowns. We lost that game, didn't make the playoffs. 4 years later was the year we were 7-1. Jay Cutler got knocked out of that game because that happened at least once a year.
Yep.
So he got knocked out of that game. And then after that, the Bears went on a similar free fall and went like 3-5 the rest of the year. That was the year Lovey got fired. And then in 2016, we started out against the Texans, and that was the arrival of Will Fuller, and he just destroyed us, I want to say. And also Brock Osweiler, who somehow always finds a way to beat the Bears as well. I don't even think he's in the NFL anymore, but I can't.
The Broctagon.
I can't be for sure about that, but he always finds a way to beat us. We probably should have signed him as a quarterback, thinking about it like that. And so, what will this chapter hold against the Texans? I'm not sure. Do you have another trivia question?
I don't. I actually had the same question. I just remember, again, the Texans haven't been around. I think it was David Carr, wasn't it?
Did I say Derek? My bad.
Yeah, for the Black Jersey team there that barely squeaked one out against the Jets this week, or last week, I should say.
Yeah.
I don't, like I said, but just I remember, especially when they beat Cutler. I feel like that was one of those years where we were really in playoff contention.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was I know it was a Sunday night game because I waited all night to pay for it.
Yeah, it was Matt Schwab, I believe, was a quarterback for the Texans.
Makes it work.
Stump the Schwab.
It's old Schwab.
Yeah.
So no, I have no trivia. You and I, we're on the same level. Great minds think alike. So we literally had the same trivia.
Yeah, I mean, we could have done the cliche one. What is one of the quarterbacks that the Bears didn't draft in the 2017 draft? And of course, that'd be Deshaun Watson. So
yeah, we don't want to go there.
All right, let's talk about this preview of this game. So, actually, funny story. The player in this picture is actually a member of the Bears. That's Lamar Miller. And in that 2016 game, he actually went off against us, had like 130, 140 yards. What we didn't know at the time is that season was 2016. That would have been a pretty bad season because other than from 2012 when Lovey was our coach till 2018, we did not have a winning season. I think we finished 8-8 that one year where, of course, the Packers beat us at the end of the season. But there's Lamar Miller and Brock Osweiler. They feasted on us that day. I did get that autographed by Lamar Miller, so that that's worth something now that he's a Bears player. But obviously the matchup in this one is going to be Watson versus Trubisky, and just seeing, of course, what we could have had and what we don't.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and we've talked about it. I think it's unfair to call Trubisky a bust. I don't think he's been a bust. I mean, I would say he's never going to live up to that number 2 overall. Obviously, he's never going to outperform Mahomes and Watson. So I mean, he's kind of urinating up a creek a little bit there, if you know what I mean. But I would say, like, for everything that we would question as far as Nagy and as far as Ryan Pace, and as far as their drafting and what they put as far as, you know, on paper for this franchise the last couple of years, I think all things considered, if they would have taken Watson, and there's no way we could have foreseen Mahomes, being this good. And I think him going to Andy Reid is obviously the perfect fit. But if we take Watson instead of Trubisky, even with, you know, the Adam Shaheen pick, which was a bust, I'll say that was a bust. And, you know, just some of our we really have had more success in the later rounds than the early rounds. I still think we're in a much better place this year, last year, moving forward. I mean, he's our guy that you ride out for, you know, 2 really long contracts. You know, when you're talking about a decade of, when he's healthy, you know, elite play. I mean, I really think he's not in that category yet he's not in the Mahomes, Rodgers, Russell Wilson category, but I think he's in that tier 2, in that second category, where he can go out and win a Super Bowl by himself with limited options. You know, now you got to have a good defense around him, and I don't think he's really ever had that in Houston. But and just watching him at Clemson, you know, 4-year starter, beat Alabama several times, a couple times for championships, I think twice. Just coming out. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't really. There wasn't really anything in his game that I was like, you know, pointed to a red flag. You know, and that's part of the preview. And he's one of the harder quarterbacks outside of your, like, Big Ben, your really tall quarterbacks. He's one of your average size quarterbacks to take down. He's slippery. He's elusive.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that escapability to him. And so, I mean, like, he's just, it's really difficult to get him on the ground. And the way that Pagano calls the defense, in my opinion, and the way we kind of are, it's going to be tough just getting to him with 4 is going to be difficult. You know, it is.
Yeah. Well, Matthew Stafford threw for 400 last week, and he was basically throwing it to whoever he wanted all the way down the field. And I don't know.
Take the lobster claw, crying out loud. I mean, come on.
What?
He had 4 fingers. It was 4-finger Dan over here. I mean, he had a lobster claw on. It was taped up.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't see us stopping Watts. Like, as good as the defense was the last couple of years, and even was at the start of this year, something has changed recently, and they got torched by the Packers and again against the Lions, and I don't know how that's going to change. Now, in this game, I've featured David Johnson as a key player, because what I'm seeing is, if you can find a way to get the run going against us, our defense does not hold up as well as it did previously in the earlier games. And so I'll be looking for us. Like, Akeem Hicks definitely makes a big difference in size. And yeah. I believe he'll be playing again because he played last week. But if they can get the run going, and if we can't get the Watson, then we're going to have to score 30-plus again this week to win the game. And honestly, think about the fact that the Bears scored 30 points last week and lost. Like, that seems like a statement that should never be true for this team.
No, not the way it's built. Yeah, we've been dying for anywhere between 20 and 24 against, if you look back at the records and the results of the last, you know, at least the last 6 games, or the games we've lost, you know, we're able to squeeze a few more wins out with 20 to 24 points. So, you know, that the game last week was very much us getting in our own way, at least in that fourth quarter. You know, I mean, we definitely got conservative down the stretch. I wasn't in love with the play selection with us driving, last drive of the game. We need a touchdown to score after the fumble, and they scored. And then the 4th and 1, you know, it was interesting to me for for us to run there and just kind of have your basic trap out of the shotgun with your right guard pulling. I don't know. To me, I would I think there were different plays in the bag that I think even if they're not successful, you can at least live with. And that was one of my points is like, man, we ran the ball so well.
We did.
We ran the ball so well this week, and it was very encouraging to see us get some push. David Montgomery looked like a wild man.
See,
I mean, the guy.
That's
he looked like Aaron
that,
Rodgers in the second half of that week one a couple weeks ago. It's all just all hopped up, running like a wild man, right? And
he only had 5 carries in the second half, though, is what I heard.
Okay, right. And
I'm like, what are they doing? Why does this guy not have more?
Patterson got more of it, I think. I think they gave Patterson more carries than Montgomery is what it sounds like.
Yeah. Well,
but I mean, again, like we had a chance. We had the ball on their side. I don't know where we were. We were probably around the 30.
Yeah, because Nichols got an interception, didn't he? And then we had like honestly after that happened, and there was maybe another drive that we stalled. And we were already up at that point too by 10 points. It just felt like we got this.
Yep.
And
good team find a way to put those games out of reach.
The other thing that kind of just that blows my mind is we were outscored 21-7 in the second half.
Well, do you remember that graphic they put up of us scoring in the third quarter?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I was actually 6. So I do have to throw out a new thing at the Blakely household when we watch Bears games. We decided that we're going to start just putting money into like a little jar or whatever. And each week, like a family member gets to draw it. And if the Bears score that week, then you get all the money in there. Wow. And so we decided that could be a fun thing because, like, literally think if we started that week 1, whoever got it when we played the Panthers, they'd have won like $50. So
that's true. Yeah. But I mean, up until then, I mean,
it's honestly terrible. Like that we can make such a joke of an NFL team that can't even score a point in the third quarter. That's what kind of makes me think, how do some of these guys have jobs when, and like this again is one of those situations where I'm sitting in a home and I know nothing really about football other than the fact that I've watched almost every Bears game since I can remember. But like me telling them something like that, but at the same time, these guys are getting paid millions of dollars to play offense. How can we not put up points? How can these coaches not know what matchups to find?
Yeah. So and plus you got the halftime to make adjustments. You got you're looking at what they're doing currently, what they've done in the first 2 quarters, and like I said, you should have enough good minds there to put some sort of second half game plan together and go out and execute.
And it's the Lions where that's all I need to say really. It was funny, though. I saw they flashed a graphic across the screen that said Trubisky, the Lion Killer, with about 4 minutes left in the game and showing his stats and how well he played. And they're like, this Lions team is depleted and they're missing a lot of guys. And that's another reason why he's had success. And then we ended up losing that game. Like, I just don't know that I'll ever be able to – that's always one I'll go back on and be like, what the heck? But, hey, I'm talking too much about the Lions. We got to play J.J. Watt this week as well. I'm looking for Allen Robinson to have a bounce back week after he didn't reach for the first down, so we could have 4 shots into the end zone with Jimmy Graham and Allen Robinson, Cole Kmet. So between Allen Robinson, Akeem Hicks, and then J.J. Watt, those are really the guys that I think are going to make a big impact on this game. We should talk a little bit about our show because last week all of our top guys ended up having huge games that we previewed. So we must be doing something right. Our intern is really finding the key matchups for us to talk about. So
yeah, Raji needs a Christmas bonus, doesn't he?
He's going to get a raise. So let's look up some of the keys to this game. So there's our boy. Just remembering where we once came from.
Illinois guy.
But if Deshaun Watson lights this game up, then we're going to be in trouble. Because look at Aaron Rodgers. Like honestly, against the Packers, I always feel like there's going to be a time where we stop Rodgers and we can hold them to like 20 points or so. But he just kept throwing and kept rolling and kept rolling. If that happens this week, then our season is officially over because there is a glimmer of hope that we make the playoffs. And if the Texans line,
Stop it. Just stop it.
If the Texans D line dominates, I think we're in trouble. I'm specifically looking at J.J. Watt when I'm thinking about this, and that he can just get to Trubisky, that they can make our running game difficult. Not that our running game needs help as is. And if the Texans don't give us anything easy, because really last week we got the interception on Stafford, but still we didn't get anything that seemed super easy in that game. We still had to work for drives and points. And so for us, I'm thinking that we have to stop their offense at some point. The defense, if the defense can't get it together after a bye week, a bad performance against Green Bay and a bad performance against the Lions, then we need to start getting rid of some of them as well. No giveaways on offense. Honestly, I don't know how you even put your quarterback in position to fumble the ball with like a minute or 2 minutes left to go in the game. That's crazy. And we need to run the ball well again with Montgomery, Patterson, even throw Trubisky in there and just get something going. And, yeah, looking for that. What do you think about these keys, or what do you think will be the keys to the game?
Well, isn't it funny that if there is like a worst front office and like a head coach, that it would be Bill O'Brien, aka the butt chin, and who's their GM? Is it Rick Smith?
I don't even know. I thought Bill O'Brien was their GM. He was their coach
No,
and
Bill
GM.
O'Brien was their head coach. Baby Butchin was their head coach. He's a Belichick disciple, and honestly, like there's a worse tandem, trust me, than Nagy and Pace. Just so you know, but Bear fans out there, trust me. They traded DeAndre Hopkins straight up for your boy David Johnson, who's played like 6 games this year and has had one good season in Arizona. So let's feel good about that there are worse GMs and head coaches out there. But again, like Deshaun Watson, we're not going to stop him. We can only kind of slow him down. We're going to hope. Another thing that actually benefits us is that Will Fuller is not out. You know, he will not be out there because he's on a 6-game suspension. So that obviously, I mean, he's a huge X factor. This guy stretches the field.
Oh yeah,
he is he's lightning in a bottle. He's pretty dynamic. So the fact that we don't necessarily have to worry about that, we just kind of worry about, at least in the passing game, you worry about Kiki QT, I believe you say his name, and then also Brandon Cooks is still a pretty gosh darn good receiver. So and Jordan Akins is not going to catch a lot of balls, but he can be impactful, especially around the goal line and on third down. So, I mean, the fact that they don't have as many weapons, I think, will help our defense. Hopefully, make a few more stops, and also obviously we need to win the turnover battle. I am worried about J.J. Watt again. Even if he doesn't get, the good parts of his game, even if he doesn't get to the quarterback, he's really good at batting the ball down or batting it up and getting a deflection or just causing pressures without getting to the quarterback, forcing the ball out of it.
Good old JJ Swat, as he was nicknamed for a couple years.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I would love to see us run the ball well, because again, that's gonna take some time off the possessions for Deshaun to be out there. We need to have more time than them. We need to sustain drives, and you know what? We did a really good job of sustaining drives. I mean, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the stats might not back it up, but just from the eye test, I felt like, with the exception of the last 6 minutes of that game, or maybe 8 minutes of that game, that's by far our best offensive performance of the year.
Oh, definitely. It was exciting to like score points. Dare I say it? That's so bad, but
exactly. And I liked that we're starting to use Cole Kmet more. I mean, he was way more of a factor in the passing game than Jimmy Graham was, and I'm still a fan of Jimmy Graham. I think we can still utilize him, especially around the goal line. Obviously, when we get there, we just kind of chose to run it. When we were there, Dave Montgomery got 2 and Cordell got 1, and then kind of threw a little play action. Tight end came across the formation underneath, and Kokomet was and Trubisky. Got to give him credit. Nice ball. I know it's a short completion, but he put it on in a perfect spot where Komet could run after the catch. And I'm looking big picture. I mean, obviously, hopefully Cole Komet's our starting tight end next year, and he's a big part of our team. So guys like Montgomery, and the other one is, man, get the ball to Mooney. He's got some juice when he's got the ball, Scott.
Yeah,
like watching him with wide receiver screens. We, for whatever reason, really haven't been able to connect with him deep for whatever reason. We just cannot quite get on. You said he's like one of the most either underthrown or overthrown receivers in the league, but I saw a stat. Guy's got 60 targets and he doesn't have a drop. He's the only one in the receiver in the NFL.
That's amazing. I know last week I was like, where's Mooney at? And then he caught a ball and he like ran through some people, and I was impressed with that. And then you see Anthony Miller get it and he runs out of bounds. Doesn't want to get contacted. But I think you bring up some good points and some things to think about, especially going forward, is Mooney, Montgomery, Komet, and maybe some of these no names on the line. In all honesty, they're not looking too bad the last couple games against the Packers or even against the Lions. And maybe they're getting some stuff together. I know that Leno is not, in my eyes, is not the guy.
No, he's gone.
On the second and one play, he went off sides. That drive, we ended up not getting anything because it was bad to bad type of thing, and we didn't get any points. That could have won us the game right there. So it's just those got to be disciplined, got to do the right things. And what is happening in Chicago when you can't get second and one because you're starting, like your only starting offensive lineman, I guess Whitehair was in there, but is making the mistakes, and these other no names are doing their job. So.
For sure. Yeah, Leno and Massey, I think they're going to probably end up letting them go. I think, especially I think Massey, there's you got a little bit of money that if you release, but even to your point, Chris, I call him Duster Mustafer. Chris, I think it's Chris Mustafer, our center, that stepped up. I mean, dude's played well. I mean, I think he's earned himself another shot with us potentially, and I do think if we get Daniels back healthy. With Whitehair, who naturally plays guard, we switched him over to a center when he came into the league. You're looking at two bookend. You're looking at trying to replace two tackles. I really think our line is okay, and it's in an okay place. Again, I mean, you still have Alex Bars as some interior depth. If Jermaine Ifedi's got to go. Whoever that defensive lineman is that wants to play offense now needs to probably also get on the train to Russia. But I think there's enough there. To your credit, I do think that our offensive line coach. It's not that name's not coming to me right now. I don't
Juan
think
Castillo. Is that right?
Yes.
Or is it Jody Camillus? I forget.
Oh no, he's been no. It's
man. Dare I say that name? But
don't say that name. No, I mean, I think he's gotten this group to overperform, especially the ones that have come in to kind of spell out our starters.
Yeah.
And again, is Khalil Mack. I mean, I know Khalil Mack had a sack that got wiped out by a holding, by your boy Buster Screen while holding, but
I don't like him.
Can we make it? Can we make enough plays to kind of get Watson on the ground? And again, I would really like to see us be more aggressive, not necessarily in just full out, zero blitzes, but just some zone blitzes. Let's get some stunts going. Even if we're going to rush, Danny Trevathan and Roquan Smith have had success blitzing the quarterback. I mean, the last 2 years we've seen them rush the quarterback well and get home. And I really haven't seen that much, or at least I haven't seen him get home this year. So, I'd really like to see Jalen Johnson still playing at a high level. I really like that pick, and Ryan Pace should get credit for that. That's a second-round pick.
Yeah.
He's really blossomed.
Yeah. All right, let's make our prediction, and then we can keep talking about some of the other stuff going on with the Bears organization. But for me, I am all about, hey, let's try to make the playoffs. We've talked about it, dare I say that word, which is probably just going to help us not win. But I'm actually going to pick the Texans. I think that Watson is going to do enough. I mean, these guys beat up on the Lions 41-16, and we couldn't find a way to beat the Lions last week. And honestly, we didn't play them very well week 1 either. And I don't know. I think it, like I put 20-17. I think could be close. I predicted last week to be close too, but I just feel like Watson's going to do enough to win this game for the Texans, and I don't really know where we're going to go from here. What do you think?
You know what? I mean, there's nothing. The Bears have done nothing recently the last month and a half to suggest that they're capable of even beating a 4-8 team, or So, but like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm feeling good that Mitch has played well. I'm going 30, 31, 28 Bears. I think it's going to be another high scoring game. Put Allen Robinson down for 2 touchdowns. I think Montgomery gets 1. And I think, Mitch is never going to silence the critics. Deshaun Watson will and is a better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky, but I think Mitch gets his day and gets his afternoon in the sun. I think he gets kind of that, lift your nose and kind of, smack it a little bit there. And I think he kind of gets the better of Deshaun Watson in that matchup at Soldier Field, because the game is at Soldier, correct?
Right. I originally thought it was at Houston, but it's at home. So
I think Money Mitch beats Deshaun at home, and I think he gets his moment in the sun, and then I think we lose out after that. But we'll get into that later. But yeah, I'm going 31-28 Bears.
All right, well, that's our predictions. That's our preview. Another great episode. So don't forget, Bears fans, to turn up, and Beardown. We'll see you next week. Later.